What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the About Teams Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the major sports leagues, whether it be news, highlights, games, all that fun stuff. And in today's episode, just me today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Vikings. Obviously, that's my team, the team I follow the most, cover the most, and it's been an interesting offseason, obviously, for the Vikings. They let, Kirk Cousins, their franchise quarterback of the last 6 years or so, walk out the door. They let Danielle Hunter walk, but they brought in some new additions, obviously, through the draft with J.J. McCarthy, Dallas Turner trading up to get him, Sam Darnold, veteran, and then made some key moves on the defensive end we'll talk about. But I want to talk about them because I feel like they're a team that is getting slept on heading into this upcoming season. And as a Vikings fan, I don't think, anything crazy is going to happen. We're not going to the Super Bowl, probably not even going to make the playoffs. But I mean, like Vegas and a lot of people are treating this team like it's a 6.5 win team. And I just don't think, the Vikings belong in that because I think they could surprise them, maybe wins 9 games or so, maybe get that last wild card spot, I guess. But I think they're going to have an underrated season. A lot of people are expecting with Kirk Cousins leaving that the team is going to stink, because, they struggled with Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins. But Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins aren't starting for this team. It's a new change of scenery, a full offseason with Kevin O'Connell to work with Sam Darnold, who I think is projected to be the star for week 1. And Sam Darnold has had the talent. It's partially been his fault, but he's also been in terrible situations with the Jets and Carolina Panthers. So when kind of looking at that, how much of it was his fault compared to the team, obviously – last season, he learned under Kyle Shanahan, which I think will help him just as a backup. And I think this season, he's out to prove something. He wants to get paid. He signed a 1-year deal. And I think this is his best opportunity to show if he has anything in the tank to prove to be an NFL-capable quarterback, just because of the weapons around him. You obviously have Justin Jefferson, best receiver in football, a great number 2 in Jordan Addison, who may continue to take another step, 1,000 yards last year, or almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Stepped up great in Justin Jefferson's absence, and even was really good with Jefferson because Jefferson was taking all the attention. It felt like he was getting a deep ball catch every game. And then obviously Aaron Jones in the backfield to run. And an offensive line that's kind of middle of the pack with 2 really good offensive tackles and Darrison O'Neal. The inner part is kind of questionable, but Bradbury, Ed Ingram took a leap last year from an awful right guard to an okay right guard. Bradbury's just, decent. And Delta Reisner's okay, so it's not terrible. It's a decent offensive line. And just, for this Vikings team, they're not perfect. The D tackles where they really struggle, you're relying on Harrison Phillips, who's okay, but after that, it's like Jerry Tillery, people that just haven't proven it in this league. They can easily, we saw last year with the Eagles, just carve them up in the running game. But this defense still ranked 15th last year. That was a huge step up from the year before with Ed Dontel when they were almost the worst defense in the league. So, how Brian Flores took a great step in year 1. They were close to the top 10 at one point. Then they kind of faded down the stretch, but partially I feel like that was on the quarterbacks. They just couldn't sustain drives. They're throwing picks, kind of leaving the defense in tough situations, which I don't think will happen so much this year. But yeah, with that as well, I'm expecting another step because of some free agent signings like Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman. Jonathan Grenard took a huge step last year, 12.5 sacks, I believe, or something around that ballpark. Got paid with the Vikings. Really good deal. Andrew Van Ginkel kind of a do-it-all, can pass rush, got 5 sacks, but also is a big playmaker. Just the linebacker spot, a do-it-all, which is a Brian Flores type. Brian Flores loves those guys. We see what he did with Josh Metellus, who is kind of, that hybrid safety linebacker. Andrew Van Ginkel is a guy where he can be pass rush coverage, kind of do it all on a good 2-year deal. So, I'm excited to see that. And it's just going to be special, I think, in a good way. I think they'll take another step and hopefully be around that top 10 in the second year Brian Flores. And I think people are kind of overlooking that. And then along with that, just, the offense, Kevin O'Connell, we know what he is. He's a creative offensive mind. Sometimes was kind of a little uncreative, but I think partially that was just Kirk. He was doing what he was comfortable with. I think Sam Darnold will have the more tendencies just to sling the ball, and for better or for worse, maybe some more touchdowns, maybe some more picks. That's just kind of what you get there. But it's going to be exciting. Obviously, I think this is a J.J. McCarthy development year. He'll probably sit behind, maybe come in at some point. But I think just heading into this year, a lot of people think even myself as a Vikings fan, we're projected to finish last, but it wouldn't surprise me if this team surprised and won like 10, 11 games and like just made the playoffs. Obviously, like I said, the Super Bowl is just so unrealistic. Yeah, with that being said, I think I'm kind of excited because we knew what we were getting with Kirk Cousins, as good of a quarterback as he was. He was just kind of, whatever. He wasn't worth the money he was getting paid. And, he can help Atlanta, I bet, take that step to being NFC South contenders, like in the wild card divisional round max. But that's it about all they can do. But for Atlanta, that's good because they haven't been to the playoffs in a while, I think since like 2017, 2018. So, that's fine. And he's going to be the best quarterback they've had since, Matt Ryan in his prime, because Desmond Ridder, Mariota, that just wasn't doing it. And Arthur Smith was a joke. But, regardless of that, I think the Vikings just, are kind of flying under the radar, which is what I like. They aren't expected to be anything special. But this is the year where I think if that defense could take a top 10 leap, which I think in the offense stays healthy, because losing Jefferson did hurt them, even though they were winning some games. And then Jordan Addison, and then hopefully the biggest question I have with the offense is the tight end position, just because TJ Hawkinson is going to be out for at least maybe the first month or so, maybe more. So can someone like Josh Oliver's great run blocking upgrade in the pass catching game? Will Johnny Munt get more receptions, or will someone like N'Keal Harry, who's been getting snaps at tight end, will he be able to, make the team and make something out of that, be a goal line threat, or Nick Muse, someone who made the roster last year? So that's, kind of one of the interesting parts. But overall, it's just, I'm excited because this team, is heading in a different direction, which is always, curiosity. This is probably the most curious I've been about a Vikings team since 2017, 2018, just because they're running it back. They've constantly been running it back. Kirk Cousins, same main core. They made some tweaks here and there. They started last offseason by letting some veterans like Thielen and Eric Kendricks walk, who meant so much to this franchise. But now they have kind of tore it all down. And now it's kind of their KOC and Quasey's team. And I'm excited to see what Dallas Turner does in the edge room. I forgot to mention him. That might be a huge addition, just trading up for him. Arguably the best pass rusher in the draft. It's going to be exciting just to see him. So even though they lost Daniel Hunter, I feel like they gained more depth in the defensive end room, and just, another tool where he's a freak athlete that Brian Flores can use in multiple ways. So once again, that's a huge plus. And so no matter what happens, I think it's going to be an interesting season and a good Viking season just because of curiosity alone. If Sam Darnold can light it up and surprise and have like a Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield type career, that's great. And he can go get paid somewhere else, because I think the plan is, unless Sam Darnold lights it up so much that you have to pay him, J.J. McCarthy will be the starter for the years to come, hopefully, and be the new franchise quarterback. But this is going to be a year where there isn't a lot of pressure on him. He's got all the weapons. He can just kind of sit back and relax. Sam Darnold, he can just kind of, he has nothing to lose, so he wants to go out there and do his best. So I think it's a good motivation for a team that, is flying under the radar. And the Vikings are always a team that when the pressure's high, they kind of fail. Like last year, trying to build off that 13-win season, kind of came down to earth, although that was kind of projected. But even in the years with Mike Zimmer, NFC Championship game, we're going to the Super Bowl, sign Kirk Cousins, they missed the playoffs. You don't know what to expect the next year. Next year, they win a playoff game, upset the Saints, make the playoffs, lose to the 49ers, who end up going to the Super Bowl. But then, all right, build off of that. Then it's like miss the playoffs, then miss the playoffs again, then make it, win 13 games out of nowhere, and then losing the wild card. So it's just kind of been up and down. So this might be a season, again, where pressure is not really on the Vikings. So they have nothing to lose, and they might go surprise, which is what I'm expecting, at least a little bit. I don't think they're going to win, those 11, 12 win, be a top seed, but they could surprise the wild card team, be like a 9 to 10 win team, maybe. But overall, just in the mix of, before training camp starts, I just kind of want to come on and talk a little bit about just how special I think maybe there is still a lot of holes on this team, but just maybe how special they can be in, surprising a lot of people. I still, obviously, the cornerbacks are a question. Mekhi Blackman looked good his rookie season. But can Byron Murphy, be better than he was, because he kind of struggled. But he also made some plays, and once he went down, that's when the defense started to fall apart the back half. Can Caleb Evans improve, because it seemed like he was getting burned a lot? Can Andrew Booth, second-round pick, has shown some flashes, but hasn't been healthy, hasn't really gotten a lot of playing time. Got some in the middle of last season, then kind of his role got diminished again. So, that'll be interesting. Obviously, I love the safety room. Cam Bynum, hopefully they sign him to a contract extension before training camp. Josh Metellus, that hybrid safety, huge leap last year, was huge in the Brian Flores defense. And Harrison Smith, always solid, reliable, but might be his last season. So we got to enjoy it while we can. Yeah, but with that being said, kind of going to be talking more Viking stuff, stuff comes out throughout the training camp and throughout the offseason as we look forward to week 1 against the Giants. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.